ended filming. I was filming for about 50 minutes. I just looked back and I saw that sun was shining in my face the entire time. But frankly, I cannot be bothered to refilm 50 minutes of content, especially because I have to pick up kids from school, and I'm just going to embrace my imperfect perfectionism and leave it the way it is. I hope it doesn't bother you too much watching it, and I wish you a lovely day, and I hope you have some fun watching my vlog. Bye! Hello and welcome back. This is the Navy Knitters podcast. Today it's November 17th and this is episode number 5. My name is Leontine, I'm from the Netherlands, and this is my little happy place where I talk about my Navy life, my knitting, and all my other creative endeavors. So I hope you liked my episode 4, where I took you along with me on the ship and on the travels we did. And today I wanted to continue with the second part of our deployment of last year, and to, well, take you along with me to all the places we went to the port visits, and of course to all the yarn that I bought along the way. So let's start off. Last time we ended up in Riga in the Baltic. It was really lovely. I showed you the yarn, and well, you could get the impression that we go from port visit to port visit, but sometimes there's only a week at sea. Sometimes you would spend 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks at sea. So in the beginning, the intervals were a little bigger, so we would have a port visit every other weekend, more or less. And valid question, what do you do in the weekend when you're at sea? Well, I must say, especially as a head of department, we don't really feel the difference in days. So a Saturday would be like any other day, and a Sunday we would, well, work anyway. We would do a little less of exercising ourselves, so the program that we make for our ship's crew would be a little less. So for the crew there would be more time to relax and to, well, maybe work a little less, but I must say for me that didn't work out at all, because there was always a huge amount of work to do and to prep for the next period. So for us, a weekend at sea would be like any other old day of the week where you just work from the morning until late at night. So we were really looking forward to the port visits where we actually had time off and could go off the ship, and also to be alone sometime, because as I said, I really like being on the ship and with the ship's crew, but you're literally never ever alone. There's always noise around you, there's always people around you, and I really needed that time to recharge my batteries and just be for myself for an hour or two, and then I would join with my friends, who are also my colleagues, and we would do something lovely, have lots of coffee and pastry and good food, and well, just let us float with the day. And so after we visited Riga, we had this thing called a midterm. That's when you take the whole period of the deployment. You would just calculate where the middle is, and you have this nice Navy tradition of celebrating the midterm, so that you're actually over the halfway point. And we do that by decorating a big beam of wood. You would put the names of all the places you went to in the first half and in the second half. Then you take your captain of the ship, which was our commanding officer, and we take the youngest sailor. So you have the highest ranking and the lowest ranking, or the newest crew member or the youngest one. And they switch uniform. So the sailor gets to wear the CO's uniform, and the CO gets to wear the sailor's uniform. And then they sit on this wooden beam above a swimming pool with ice cold seawater, and they both sew in the middle of the beam, so that literally it's chopped in half. And they of course fall into the water, and everybody stands around and claps applause, and usually you would have a nice cake or a nice dinner just to celebrate that you just reached the half term of your deployment or of your long trip, and that you then can start looking forward to going back home. And this is what we had between Riga and our first port that came afterwards, which was Helsinki. And Helsinki, this is one of the ports that I didn't buy any yarn because we arrived on a Saturday and it happened to be a national holiday that day. So all of the shops were closed, or at least a lot of shops were closed, the small boutique ones. And so there was a lovely yarn store. I made some pictures in front of it and was really, really disappointed that I couldn't find any shop that was open. But I thought, when in Finland, do the second best thing. There was a lovely bookshop and I found this book by Kutva, and she is from Finland, I think also from Helsinki. And I thought this would be a lovely way to remember being in Helsinki. I bought her book. I really like to watch her YouTubes all the time, and I also wrote it down in my book that I bought this book during our deployment. So at least I got something yarn related from Helsinki. Some other thing I did, when in Finland, do like the Finns do, I went to visit a traditional public sauna, which was luckily for me very close to where our ship was, and it was one, I would say wood smoke, but then I sound like being a whiskey. No, but it was a traditional sauna where they had one sauna space where they create the heat by really burning wood, and it was an amazing experience, because here in the Netherlands or in the, well, mid-Europe, when you go to a sauna, it's usually very quiet and everybody's, well, silent, tranquil, and you go there to relax. But not in Finland. When I arrived in the sauna, it was like going into a bar that's really hot and where you sit around wearing your bathing suit. So it was really sociable. People started talking immediately, asking all kinds of questions, and it was really a really nice experience. And it was hot. The wood smoke one is my favorite. And it was so hot you would feel the back of your eyeballs burn, literally. And afterwards you get to jump into the Baltic Sea, actually, which had at that time about 4 degrees. Yeah, it was amazing. So I would definitely recommend, if you are in Finland, go find yourself a public sauna and just immerse yourself in the experience. It was an experience I wouldn't want to have missed. Totally not. And I was so incredibly relaxed and soft and just mellow, and well, it was not only good for the body, but it was also very good for the mind. So I could recharge, and then the next day we set sail again and we went to Stockholm. And Stockholm is kind of like a special place for me, because when I was younger I wanted to learn Swedish. I was a big fan of the group Roxette, and I was just a big fan of everything from Sweden. I had a collection with elks, so stuffed animals, magnets, anything you could find with an elk on it I had. I had 5 or 6 pen friends all over Sweden. I had posters of Stockholm in my room, but I had never actually visited the capital of Sweden. And something else which I was looking forward to enormously was that my husband was coming over for a weekend. You might ask, why did you not have the kids over? Well, I thought about that, and for the kids, saying goodbye is really, really, really hard. So it would have taken a big toll, taking them and seeing me and then having to say goodbye again for a few weeks. So we decided that it would be better for them just to, well, hold on until I would come home for Christmas and then really see me and really have time. And on the other hand, I also really felt the need to spend some alone time with my husband, to talk over stuff, and yeah, just being us two. And I really, really, really needed some good talks and some hugs, and just, yeah, we had some struggles on the ship. I wasn't in that kind of a good place mentally. I was feeling pretty down, And so for me, I really cherished him being there and listening to me and just giving me a cuddle and just being there, and it was just amazing. So Stockholm. In Stockholm, we had a lovely little hotel at first, but we first had a work do, which we had to do. Almost every port visit you go to, you have a reception on one of the ships that takes part. And in Stockholm, it was our turn. I'm sitting in the sun again, so I have to shift a bit. So in Stockholm, it was our turn to host a reception, and so we had the hangar space all nicely done up with the Christmas lights, because you're actually not allowed to have real candlelight in there. It's because of helicopter fuel being stored there, so you have to think of literally everything. But we had these little electric tea lights, we had lighting going on, we had a big parachute which we draped from the ceiling, and we had flags put up. And we had lots of little bites, we had a little bar, and we had about, I think about 80 guests that evening. And since it's my responsibility to host or to prepare an event like that, I said that I was going to be there the entire evening until the event was done, and then I joined my husband at the hotel. But we had a lovely evening. Yeah, and then I went to the hotel to meet my husband, and he had given us a room upgrade because he knows how much I like to take a hot bath, and he had upgraded the hotel room to another room with a large bath in it, and I'm so thankful he did, because that really was something I needed, and just goes to say how lovely he is. We had some, did we have dinner that night? No, I don't think so. I was so late that he had some dinner on the way, and the next morning we just went around and discovered Stockholm. And one of the first things we did, since my disappointment in Helsinki, we went to Makery 14, lovely little shop, and I found some Swedish wool there. Fårö Gotland wool, and this is I don't know if you can see it, it's like a rusticy yarn, and I think it's spun in Denmark at Jelhult Ull Spinnery, but then it's going back to Sweden, and it was the closest thing I could find to really Swedish wool. And yeah, this is a lovely bottle green, and I made a hat for my colleague with it as a Christmas present, and he really likes green. He did say it was a little itchy, but well, you have to live with that if you have a rustic yarn hat. And so I bought this in the color 07 one, and I bought myself 2 skeins in blue of the same wool. It's Fårö of knitforyou.se, and it's 70% Gotland and 30% Falkland Merino, 100 grams, 300 meters. And at the time I thought that this was going to be a Sophie shawl, the big one. So just knit up 1 skein till halfway, and then for the rest take the other one. The lovely owner of the shop of Makery 14 was just knitting on a scarf, and I thought it would be a nice way to complement my blue winter jacket. But yeah, it does feel pretty rusticy, so I don't know yet if this will indeed be turned into a Sophie scarf. But at least I have it from Sweden, from Stockholm. And of course I bought a pin for my project bag and a little needle with, it's a tiny needle, it's like this with a flexible piece in between. It's called a flox. Very pointy, and you can use it as a stitch marker or as a cable needle. And I, for the love of God, don't know where I put it. It's somewhere, but that I also bought in Sweden as a little souvenir. And yeah, what else about Stockholm? We had, I think, the most amazing lunch and dinner we've ever had. We just strolled around town and discovered this little restaurant close to a little park, and it was Italian. There were only 2 places left at the bar. The place was filled up, and so we said, okay, why not? Let's just sit at the bar, and we had the most amazing Italian lunch ever. The taste was so good, very deep, and it was just, the atmosphere was amazing. And that night we had dinner at our hotel because we didn't want to trail off that far anymore. And I must share a picture of the dessert we got. Also, the food was amazing. And I had a dessert with lemon and a lemon cream and everything. So I get this little glass plate, and on there was laying a lemon. And I really thought, okay, you get a literal lemon, but it turned out that it was made from white chocolate and painted, and inside was this most amazing cream of lemon and with lemon bits in there, and it totally fooled us because it looked like a real genuine lemon, and that for a hotel kitchen somewhere in Stockholm, it was just amazing. Yeah, and then of course I had to say goodbye again to my husband, which was very hard, and go back to the ship for another leg of the tour. And the next port after Stockholm was Tallinn. And I must say, I loved it there. It's winter had come, so we came there. It was like a -10. I was very fortunate that I had my lovely hat, which I wore like every time. You will see it in the pictures I put in. And I think it was quite a long port visit there. I think we had 4 days. And in Tallinn, I bought, well, there's a lot of touristy stores all around town, and they have these hanks of wool everywhere. And so I bought some yarn. This is 100% wool. Doesn't say of what it is made. Well, it's just Estonian wool. And this is, I think, 252 grams, and this one is 236 grams. And it's just undyed Estonian wool, I guess. Yeah, and no idea what I'm going to make with it, but I thought with almost 500 meters, that will get me the base color for a colorwork sweater or something, maybe. And I found this little one all caked up. I have no idea. That wasn't a band or anything, so just sewed like this. And also feels very rusticy, and you think it's definitely a decay in kind of a latte color. No idea what to make with it, but this was like 2 or 3 euros only, so I had to take it. I went to, in another store, I found this little woven band, which is very, well, which the country is very well known for their weaving and fiber arts and stuff. And I really like this one, and I think I will make myself a project bag and sew this on somehow. Yeah, Tallinn. After Tallinn, we went back south to Poland. This was quite tricky because, as you know, Belarus is right around the corner. So there was a lot of action going on in and around Kaliningrad with Russian vessels. So that felt a little, let's say, unheimlich to be there. Yeah, but actually that's actually why we were there, to just see the activity, report on the activity, and yeah, that's what we did. Then came Gdynia in Poland. It was still wintry, it was still very cold. It's a lovely, well, I didn't see that much of Gdynia itself because we took a cab and went to Gdansk. And Gdansk is a really lovely old city, and it was all done with Christmas, fairy lights everywhere. There was a Christmas market which we enjoyed enormously. But I couldn't Google any real yarn stores in the city center of Gdansk or in Gdynia. I said to myself, well, you have found wool in all the other places, maybe just order some Polish yarn online. And I know a dyer from Poland, 7 Oczek. So maybe I will still treat myself to some Polish dyed yarn. Or if anybody has any suggestion about some true Polish yarn from Poland, please let me know, and I will place an online order to make up for me not having bought anything in Gdynia other than glühwein, pastries, and coffee, and anything else you can find on a Christmas market. Yeah, and then we went back to the Scandinavian countries. Some port visit I was really looking forward to was Copenhagen. Needless to say that there are lots of yarn stores in Copenhagen. But first, when we came there, we had I think on the first night we had a fancy dinner with the management team of the ship. As I said, you're not only colleagues, you're also somehow your work friends, workmates. And we said, well, we want to treat ourselves. We want to go out, really dress up in civilian clothes way, and have a really nice evening dinner, spend some quality time. And yeah, I found this amazing place in an old silo, and it was very high up, like the 14th, 15th floor, and you had the view over all of Copenhagen with the lights on, and it could start pretty early. Yeah, and it was horrendously expensive because we also shared some drinks and we had some cocktails beforehand. Amazing espresso martini over there, and some other drink they had specifically to that place. But it was really nice. It was good to spend some quality time and to really enjoy good food in good company. And yeah, so next day we were a little hungover and went around, did some hiking because it was the loveliest winter weather, cold and frosty, and spent some time trying to take beautiful pictures, which I will put in, of course. And I looked at places where I wanted to buy yarn, and I just picked one, and it was Ulstedet. And there I bought 3 skeins of this. This is Dansk Pelsold of danskpelsold.dk, and it says it's spun in Jelholt's Ull Spinnery, which is quite known, and I think Petit Knit also used this wool in some of her designs. I found out just last week. But this is, well, real true Danish wool in a navy blue. I bought 3 skeins of this and a few skeins of also Danish Isager mohair, also in dark blue. And the thing I had in mind with this to make is, well, I'll show you the picture if I can find it, because I'm just knitting on it right now. Where is it? Where is it? Well, I can't find it. But this mess, which is currently on my needles, will be a slip over in with a honeycomb stitch by Along Avec Anna. And I'm very close to finishing it because I was pretty much down with the flu all week, so I had a lot of knitting time. And this is the yarn for exactly this project that I bought in Copenhagen. Yeah, Copenhagen was also really, really lovely. Cold, but lovely. And after that, we had our last port visit before we were able to go home for Christmas, just for 3 days, because we had to end our deployment afterwards. But we managed to squeeze in a 3-day home visit after. But first, Stavanger. We come to Stavanger a lot, working closely together with the Norwegian Navy and exercising a lot there. And we had, well, some time because we were the only ship left in the group, so all the others had gone back home of all the other countries. So we were the only one patrolling the North Sea at that time. And we had some time, so we invested in some navigation exercises and did some, as we said, sightseeing in the fjords. And we did the Hardanger Fjord and one other fjord, which I cannot remember the name of, but it was just beautiful. It was the loveliest cold, freezing weather. You had the sunshine, you had the snow, you had the fjords itself. We saw quite some sea life also, and it was just amazing. In Stavanger we also had a small reception hosted actually by the Dutch embassy. So we had some Dutch folks over, the Norwegian husbands or Norwegian wives. And yeah, we had a lovely time. And I also got to know one of the ladies there who is a teacher at the international school, who was also into knitting. And she told me, well, if you have some time tomorrow, you definitely need to go to Sandnes. It's a little south of Stavanger, and there is the Sandnes yarn factory. And I already knew that it was there, and it was on top of my wish list to go there. So I managed to get one of the crew cars, and we drove to Sandnes, and I was in the factory. Actually, no, I had gone to heaven straight away. It was amazing. A little unfortunately for me, as we wanted to go on a hike afterwards, I had my 3 work colleagues with me, all male, non-knitters, and well, they basically hijacked my car. They said, okay, we will drive you to Sandnes, but then you will drive us to go hiking. That was part of the deal. And so they were sitting, looking at their watches the entire time, and I had about 25 minutes to go around the Sandnes yarn factory, and it's actually, I could have spent a half day there, really. But okay, I promised that I wanted to go on a hike with them, and we didn't want to wait too long, so I had half an hour. And what did I get? Well, I got quite a lot. Let me get this one. So at first I had some projects slipped out. I wanted to get some Peer Gynt. This was from the second choice factory outlet baskets they had there, and I don't know, I can't see anything wrong with it. So I had about 12 balls of the Peer Gynt in a navy blue, and that has become my zipper sweater by Petite Knit. I had also a blue one. Then I bought all kinds of colors of the Sandnes duo, which became my breast tee that I was wearing in the last episode, or the episode before, the stripy one. Then I bought myself some alpaca silk in a nice plum color, and this is going to be a nice and squishy little Sophie scarf because it is so amazingly soft, and I thought I just need this for a little quick knit, and I really like the color, dark plummy. And then I also found this was like a big bag in the clearance section, and it contained all bits and bobs and ends of tin line, and this is a blue color. It's the color 6061, and they just sold it in a big bag of, they were not skeined, I skeined them in between, and all, well, cuddled up bits and bobs, but it was at a very, very low price. And this is going to be, well, I thought in the beginning a Cecile top by Paula & Strikt, but now I'm thinking of making a Tyrrell sweater with this one, but it's going to be a summer knit, and so I'll probably have to start it summer in January if I want it to be finished in summer. But well, this doesn't run away. This is waiting for me for my next spring or summer knit, and it's a lot, so I should get quite some out of this. And yeah, I think that's, oh no, I mean something else. So I told you I was buying the blue Peer Gynt, and I was kind of pressed for time, so I just had this big basket, and I just dove in the discount section, and I had all these balls of what I thought was dark blue Peer Gynt, but you can see that I was really pressed for time, and stressed out and overwhelmed, because somehow when I came home I discovered that I had 6 balls of another yarn that snuck in there, which was the cotton yarn and not the Peer Gynt in the same color. And so I was a few balls short of the Peer Gynt. Now I thought, okay, maybe let's take a risk. With the coloring is pretty consistent. Let's just order the missing balls that I need for my zipper sweater, order them online at a Dutch yarn store, and just hope for the best and that you don't see the difference. But then I was still texting with the lovely woman that I met at our reception, and she literally lives very close to the Sandnes factory, and she said, you know what, I can just pop over, see if they have some more of the skeins that you bought for the very low price, I must say. And she said, well, I'm going to have a look and see if they have 6 more balls of the Peer Gynt, and then around New Year's we're going to the Netherlands. I will just ship them to you and you just give me the money back then. And this is actually what we did. So she went there and she sorted out the missing yarns for me, and with the other ones, with the cotton ones, I made my Cecile top in summer. And as a little thank you, I made her a project bag and a yarn cozy, and I sent it to Norway when we were again in Norway in spring. So yeah, this was a whole lot of pre-Christmas kindness from the lovely Marion. Big hello if you're watching, and thank you again that you went back to Sandnes for me to find those missing skeins. And the next day we went on an epic hike. The weather turned out for the good, and we decided that we wanted to hike up the Preikestolen close to Stavanger, and this was truly the highlight of the entire deployment. As you can see from the pictures, we were almost alone. It took us a few hours to hike up there. We hardly met anybody. It was a winter wonderland all over, and it was hard to get up there. But once we were all the way up, our colleagues had deposited a bottle of limoncello on the top because they went in the morning, and we were just sitting there by ourselves and just enjoying the wonders around us. And yeah, it was just sheer happiness. And there was nobody there. In summer, it's full of tourists all the time. And some lovely people we met took pictures of us 3 alone on the edge. And the next morning, we actually went inside the Lissefjord, another navigation exercise. And then we saw the place where we went the day before from below on the water. Yeah, and then it was driving home for Christmas. As I said in the last episode, in 2021, I spent Christmas in the vaccination center, a lot of days around Christmas and leading up to Christmas. And this year, the song Driving Home for Christmas got a whole new reason, because we finally get to hug my kids again. And we had, well, usually when you come, and family comes to pick you up in Den Helder, in our port. And this year we drove home, everybody had Christmas hats on, and the atmosphere was really festive, and everybody was so much looking forward to finally seeing our loved ones again. But we came to Den Helder, and it was just, we couldn't see a thing because it was all thick mist. It was sea damp and mist and everything. So you couldn't see you could see your hand in front of your face, but you couldn't see the place where we would moor the ship. So you couldn't see the enormous crowd of people standing there. You could hear them, but you couldn't see them. So only the last meters, when we actually put the ship in position and put the lines over to moor the ship, we could see our loved ones standing there. And we made sure that we got off the ship pretty quickly, so we cleaned up everything and shut everything down. And so we got to spend 3 lovely days at home for Christmas. And I must say, for the feeling that was the best Christmas ever, the best present ever, to cuddle my kids again. And yeah. So, but we were not all done yet, because after Christmas, after those lovely 3 days with them, we had to go back out to sea for another 1.5 weeks of our deployment patrolling the North Sea. And it also happens that it was the period of my birthday in that week. I always say, well, it's not going to happen that I will be at sea on my birthday, because my birthday is December 30th. But this year I was the lucky or unlucky one, and it was also my 40th. And so early on during the trip, we had the idea of organizing a spinning marathon to raise money for a good cause. And I was part of the 3, well, people who organized it. And yeah, I said, well, you know what, make my birthday count, make it really, really special. If I can't be at home for my birthday celebrating it with friends and family, then at least want it to be something extraordinary for my 40th birthday. So we set the date that we would have the 24-hour spinning marathon on my birthday, and finish it, or starting at noon and finishing at noon on the 31st of December. And that's basically how I spent my birthday, sitting on a spinning bike for a total of 9 hours. I can tell you, my derriere was sore that night, but it was all worth it. I got a birthday cake, which I ate on the bike. We did, since it was 3 of us, we did 4-hour shifts. So 4 hours, then the other one would do 4 hours, the other one would do 4 hours. And so we kept the wheel spinning for 24 hours straight. And it was not only us, we also had 2 spinning bikes for people who would ride with us. And for every hour they were pedaling, they had to donate a certain amount of money, and you could ask sponsors to sponsor us, or somebody else from the crew to sit on the bike for an hour. And we would actually also give spinning lessons. So it was not just sitting on that bike for 4 hours and just pedaling away listening to music. No, we also gave a spinning class, so 4 times 1 hour. So I can tell you we were pretty much done the 31st, but it was a very, very special birthday, and we raised about 2,000 euros, the 3 of us, for the good cause that we picked with the ship. Yeah. And what else can I tell you? Oh, the 31st, on New Year's Eve, the planner made sure we could see some fireworks. At least that's what he planned for. So we sailed up to the Bay of Edinburgh, Scotland. But unfortunately, it was very misty that day, so foggy. And because of the fog, we could hardly see any fireworks on Edinburgh Castle. But really appreciate the idea that we were close and we could hear the bangs and see some coloring in the sky. That was really nice. On the 1st of January, we had like a lazy day on the ship, and we had, since, well, we celebrated into New Year's, of course, at night, and we had the New Year's dive on January 1st. Now, it is a little difficult to jump off the ship and get back on again and do it in a safe way. So we had this little pool built on the helicopter deck, filled with, I think, icebergs, ice cold water, seawater. And we had these orange hats from Unox. It's a Dutch company that makes smoked sausage and is very well known for their orange hats. So everybody got an orange hat, and whoever wanted could take a New Year's dip in freezing water. And we had some lovely pea soup afterwards, and it was just a lovely day. Yeah, and that concludes about our deployment of Standing NATO Maritime Group 1. Yeah, let's have a look at the clock. I have to pick up the kids now very soon, so I'll leave it. No, I have some time left. After the deployment, since we were away for almost 5 months, and as I said, all weekends that you're at sea, you're just away. So after a deployment like that, you usually have quite some time off. Ship is closed, so you have really holiday time. And since we were off, but the kids had go to school, me and my husband decided to take advantage of the time and go and visit one of or his best ever friend and really close friends to mine who live in New York City, and he could take some time off work, and so we decided to take a trip and see them. New York is like our, I wouldn't say our home away from home, but we've been there so many times now to visit our friends that it truly feels like a home away from home. We just love the city, the buzz, we go for endless walks, have good food, and obviously see our friends, but they had to work, so we usually meet up in the evenings. We would just carried away, walking around, enjoying our time. And one day, a friend took a day off, so he would spend the day together with my husband, and they had a guy-only day, and so I could have my girly day. It was really an excuse to ditch the guys. And I did a little New York and Brooklyn yarn crawl. And so the first stop was to the Argyle yarn store in Brooklyn. Lovely little store. I will post some pictures. And I bought 2 skeins of their own dyed yarn, and this one is called Luminous Brooklyn hand dyed yarn in NYC, the Solar Sock. 75% merino, 25% nylon. It's a light fingering superwash, and this colorway I think was called Mastermind, and it's a really blue purplish pink, and I bought a mini to go with it. Isn't it cute? I already caked them up because I wanted to use them for socks. But yeah, I bought these at the Argyle yarn store. Then, as I was already in Brooklyn, I could of course not miss Brooklyn General Store. And I had the hardest time choosing. I went back and forth because I did not want to buy yarn for a huge project, but still something special, something I couldn't find in the Netherlands. And so in the end, I decided to buy myself Jill Draper Makes Stuff, the Barstow in Nightshade Berries, because this is supposed to be a yarn, 100% Dorset wool, that you can make socks of. So it's a DK, and it should be okay as a sock yarn. So I have never tried this breed, the Dorset. So I thought, well, you know, that's a good thing. This will probably be another set of cozy woolly socks. But I wasn't done yet, because I went to Knitty City, and I have to see where is on the yarn that I bought at Knitty City. First of all, I was very surprised to find skeins from the Netherlands of Wool met Verve. It's a company that I bought my Advent with, which I'm still waiting on. It's my 3rd Advent this year. And yeah, I was kind of surprised to see some Dutch yarn, Dutch hand-dyed yarn in a New York store. Also there I had a really hard time deciding what to get, so I browsed in my Ravelry library, and I had the Rosati by Alangebeck Anna still on my to knit list, and so I thought, you know what, I'm going to buy yarn for that project. And I've shown it already because it's the favorite knitted t-shirt of my daughter. She has a Rosati Little, and I wanted to make one for me as well. So I bought 3 skeins of this little, pick it out, it's 3 skeins in a kind of a purplish pink. And this is the Cascade, I think. Yeah, Cascade Yarns Heritage, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, in the color Dusky Orchid. So my first ever try at Cascade, and I really fell in love with the color. I think this will make a really nice Rosati for me. So I had 3 of those. Then I had my, what is it? I'm missing one skein that I can't find. Something I also bought was this project bag, which I also found at Nitty City. And it says, then she glanced in a casual manner round the wine shop, took up her knitting, and with great apparent calm and repose of spirit, and became absorbed in it. And this is a quote from Tales of Two Cities. And I just really, really love the bag. And right now there's the remnants of my Felix cardigan sitting in here and waiting for another purpose. But so that's the back. And this one, I'm gonna unwrap it because I recaked it. This is Emma's yarn, crazy beautiful color, a Hella Hank. And the color is called Set Sail. Very good one. And it's 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, and 10% nylon. And it's a 150 gram cake. Well, it came in a hank, but now it's a cake. And it's hand dyed in Florida. And this was all on the way to become a iris tank top by Alongavec Anna. This is not the yarn quality that she used in her pattern, and my calculation was really off. And of course I didn't make a swatch, and it bit me in the buttocks, because when I was 3/4 done with the entire lace all over shirt, I discovered that it was way too huge, and I had a serious fright of yarn chicken that I would not finish the immensely way too huge tank top with just this skein. And so I measured it, found the right measurements. So well, from my fabric that I had knitted, I just measured it, and so I could recalculate in what size I should make it with using this yarn, because I didn't want to change out the needle size too much. And so I noted it, I recalculated it, and this should become the second try of a posy tank top. And since I will be making a way smaller size from the pattern, this should about last me for the entire top. Fingers crossed. But it was very pleasurable to knit. So I'll just have a second try with this yarn. Yeah. And oh yeah, one other thing. Since I was in New York, I tried to look up the Pearl Soho store, which unfortunately had closed down, but nevertheless I treated myself to some Pearl Soho because I was badly influenced online by knitting traditions to make myself a half and half triangles wrap. And the colors I chose is this vibrant bright pink, and I think the color is oatmeal. I can't find the ball band. Usually I put them in the center, but on this one, well, it's in here. This is the color oatmeal gray, and I'm knitting with the other one, so there's just one in here. And this is the color pink pop. And of course a project bag, because, well, I already have 100, but you can never have 2 little project bags. So this will become sometime in the next 100 years a half and half triangles wrap. And it's quite an easy, mindless project that I tend to take to the stable, or whenever I don't know what to take, then at least I can take the half and half wrap. I'm doing it the traditional way with wraps and turns, just to practice wraps and turns. And yeah, maybe someday I can show you what it looks like when it's finished. And for next episode, somewhere between now and 2 or 3 weeks, I will tell you everything I bought on the last trips of my ship this spring, when we went to Norway and Dublin. And hopefully I have some finished objects to show you, and maybe some knitting plans that I will do around Christmas. And yeah, for now, I hope you have a lovely day. I wish you a lovely weekend. For those of you who are caught by the flu, there's a lot of people being poorly at the moment. I wish you all the best and that you get your health back very soon. And yeah, wish you a lovely time. Bye.